Welcome everyone to this special live stream together. Con te Crotalo e con voi everyone.
Con te Intello, and thank you to invite me.
So today we will explore together the topic connected with the spirals, cosmic beings, the upcoming solar eclipse, and this synchronic signs and temporal alignment that we are now seeing. So at Damanhur, we have chosen to embrace the synchronic event of the spiral recently seen in the sky, an effect that we know maybe was caused by a rocket, but we take it as an opportunity to share a magical perspective on this phenomenon. So this is why I invited Crotalo here to dive deeper into this topic. Crotalo is one of our foremost experts in this topic, as well as a spiritual teacher, an ambassador, and a researcher of Damanhur. And we are here to really understand and to ask you, Crotalo, to help us to better understand when we talk about spirals in Damanhur, what do we mean? What they are. So I would like to ask you to begin with these kind of questions, and let's all enjoy this amazing live stream.
Well, thank you, Antello, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, because the topic of the spirals, or the topic of what in Damanhur for us are literally intelligence beings, energy that in a way they are our partner in not in crime, but in this case partner for our spiritual growth, to realize and to manifest our spiritual mission. What in Damanhur could be synthesized with the term vaine, that in our sacred language it represents again the mission of the soul, or the mission that together as souls we need to, let's say, achieve, possibly in this lifetime, or maybe in some lives that we already been programmed to happen together in the future. Now, the topic of the spirals is a topic that has been part of my research since my really beginning here in Damanhur in the late 80s. And I would say that the title and the field of research of what we call today spirals is being always one of the most important, if not the most important, since the beginning of Damanhur. And of course, when we talk about spirals, well, it is not Damanhur the only reality, the only spiritual path that is talking about. So this is probably one of the most famous, the most used, the most popular sacred geometry used all over the world, all over time, by the most important civilizations, and also to the one that are the still mysterious one, because we don't know the name and we don't know from where they are coming from. So we see symbology of the spirals on the ground. We see symbology of the spirals in their sacred places. We see use of the spirals in their amulets, in their bracelets, in their necklace, in the things that they could bring with them, the instrument that they could be used in a way more for a personal use. And I don't have to remind to everyone that the spiral himself represent a symbology of life, in the true idea of the opening and closing of the spiral that represent the birth, the life, and then the death, and then, you know, the new beginning, and so on and so on. So the same symbology of this spiral, that as above, so below, we contain also inside of ourselves. Let's just think for a moment about the symbology and the shape of the DNA. Just to give you one example, that on our fingertips, we can find again the symbology of the spiral. Even our hairs are moving in that direction. So obviously there is a lot to talk about the spirals, and I'm very glad and in my opinion, what has been happening a few days ago with that stunning shape of a spirals in the sky is been in a way a kind of reminder, click, point of attention. Well, we can obviously mention it in many different ways, but for me is like the reminder of some very important appointment. And by the way, is been bringing back the attention about what we call spiral. Now, obviously, I can approach in many different way, and for what probably people are following us, I will approach with the Damanhurian way, or in this case, to what for us these intelligence energies are doing or are connected to us. And to do that, I have to invite everyone to buy a book that actually you can also find in a forms of ebook that is called The Alchemist. No, I'm not talking about the famous Alchemist book of Paulo Coelho, wonderful book, but I'm talking about another stunning book, another very intriguing book, that is the last book that Roberto Iraudi, our Falco Tarassaco, the founders of Damanhur, wrote before his passing. And I mean, the figures of Falco is again something that we can talk for hours, for how deep, spiritual, mysterious, and magical Falco was representing in his life and in what he's been able to do and achieve in his incarnation here with us. But he never really talked so much about his spiritual reawakening, because yes, even if you are a spiritual master, you need to reawake who you are, from where you're coming from, and why you're here. Even if for them, spiritual masters, I mean, there is some advantages. Anyhow, the last book is based on 33 tales, 33 stories about his childhood, or in particular about his spiritual reawakening, or events, episodes, particularly things that they've been signing the reawakening of Falco. So in one of them, in one of these stories, there is the first encounter, or the first reconnection between Falco and the spiral, or the world of the spiral, that in this case is being represented by this energy, again, forces, we can call it in many different ways, that in our Damanhurian slang we call spear. Now, beside the function of spear and the reason why he's still here and we are still connected through him, through these different intelligence, well, Falco is describing something that is being part of many different moments of the history of the humankind. What I'm talking about? I'm talking about intelligence that are vibrating differently than us. So I'm not going to enter into the different kind of universe, in different realities, in different dimensions, because again, we need a lot of time and space to discuss and to explain better this. But let's for a moment imagine again, different realities, different dimension, different universe that are vibrating differently. Everything is a vibration, everything is a frequency, even ourselves. We are a vibration. Soon we are going to invite many people to join us to a new opportunity about the astral traveling, the out-of-body experiences. And we are going to define even more than when we are leaving our body, we are pure essence, an essence that could be defined as a specific vibrations. Anyhow, so if we imagine that there are these different universes and that there are different inhabitants of these universes, different intelligence energies, well, as I said, they are vibrating differently. So it means that they don't manifest as we humans, or let's say humans that are carry on the soul that we call divine spark, we are vibrating. So they need different kind of bodies, physical forms in which they can not only manifest themselves, but also interact with the planet, with the dimension, with that condition. So talking about the intelligence that we call spirals, we now have to enter in a realm that is much larger than the idea of something done by stone or traced into the ground. But we can extend this also in the idea of something that can be manifested through metals or liquids or spheres or magnets, or a combination of all these different materials and metals. But also something that could be created or recalled through stone spirals, or spirals like the other day that are appearing, manifesting into the sky. I know the technical explanation is that a rocket from the company of Elon Musk is being, creating this beautiful shape. But follow me for a moment. Do you know the name of this rocket? Very funny. Falcon 9 to be precise. So Falco Terrasco, Falco's the rocket, the spirals. Well, I like it to see as a beautiful synchronicity. Now, that we understand that there are other beings, there are other intelligence, that they have some interest to connect, to exchange with us. And in some moment of time, of course, there's been civilization with, let's say, a level of evolution, a level of connection, spiritually and energetically speaking, capable to recreate an exchange, a connection with them. Let's for a moment imagine or realize why they want to connect with us, why they are manifesting in this planet, and why all of this is happening right now. As I said at the beginning, we can imagine all the spirals or all the intelligence that are connecting to the spirals like partners, like companions. Let me try to frame a little bit better what I mean. Well, we know that life is much more of what we are seeing with our eyes, we are experiencing with our external senses every day. There's much more. In Damanhur, we talk about inner senses. So to bring back the use of all the senses that are connected directly to our divine power. I talk about a divine spark, so we believe that the soul is a little piece of a very powerful primordial divinity. So, and while we're here, we have to reawake all the powers of this inner divinity, the power of creation, the power of transformation, the power to spiritualize the matter. But again, these are all topics that I hope you are going to, let's say, to dive in so many of the other opportunities that the Academy is going to offer you. So if we have this kind of larger view of life, yes, life is also represented by something that we feel, but we don't see with our eyes. I perceive, but I cannot touch. But inside of myself, I'm recognizing it like something real. Is that feeling, is that emotion, is that intuition, is the thrill, along your spine in which in some moment, in some situation, or in some places, you feel as a presence. something that is next to you, is with you. So let's imagine life, an expression of life with all these different nuances. Also with partners, companions that are invisible, that are on the other side, but they are here for the same final goal. For us, the enlightenment of the matter, the transformation that will bring the form into light, that is done individually and then is done also collectively. But we know that this is a challenging job, takes time, takes a lot of experiences, so many reincarnations. So it's nice to have a boost or to have a helper, or to have something that is with you in the same path. So here we are. We can imagine that in many other moments of time, different intelligent energies, they manifest on this planet in many different ways. They've been with us to support what we and only we can do here. What I'm talking about the possibility to transform, to create, to change. But how I can do that? With what we call the last divine power. You know what it is? It's called free will. Our choices, our actions. And we are here in our beautiful planet to make choices that are going to be conscious, that are going to be for evolution, that are going to respect the other life forms, to protect, to create, to evolve. But it's obviously challenging, but it could be a little bit less challenge if you have someone with you that is supporting you, it's helping you, or is giving you energetically what maybe you are still missing. Because yes, there's been moments into the history in which we've been much more better, and then we fall, and then we restart again. So we've been achieving and losing opportunity. So sometimes you need a help. You need something that can provide what you still don't have to accelerate all this process. Because, and here could be another of the topic, time is interesting, but it's also challenging. But not always we can say it's on our side. So time is giving us a space in which doing it or not doing it. So what I'm trying to tell you in a more simple way is that we have appointment, can we call it deadline? Well, in which some event, some opportunity, they might going to appear, they might going to manifest, but the point is, are we going to be ready to catch this opportunity? Are we going to be conscious enough that what is happening, it is not a terrible event, but an enormous opportunity to change, or vice versa? Because again, it's a matter of use of the free will, of how I'm going to approach, use, change that events that apparently can start negatively, but then it can end up as something wonderfully positive.
Crotalo, thank you. I want to show a picture and I want your comments about it because I found it some picture about the spirals that we're using in Damanhur, and I just want to show a couple of them. And yes, you can just give a comment to us, and then I have a last couple of questions for you about the solar eclipse that we are going to face in the next days. So this is another picture. Okay, so this is one which is
beautiful
on our website that I would like to have a comments, and I just show the other one, which is this one. And if you just want to give us a comment on how we use it, what they are, I know they are spirals, of course. Yeah, you can go.
Well, these are two different examples of what we call stone spirals. I consider myself very lucky because I create, with the help of many people, more than 100 of them all over the planet, from all the different continents, because the opportunity to be an ambassador of Damanhur gave me the chance to not only travel, but then support the creation of many different centers and groups all over the world. So the creation of a stone spirals that need to follow, obviously, precise numbers of stones, precise dimension, and also, in a way, the right place, the right territory in which, as I'm used to say, we let the spiral land in the true idea of an energy of a being that is going to embody that territory. Well, for who is lucky enough to have one of these spirals in their properties, or to have one of them in some public, let's say, territory in which you can then join, walk, experience, meditate with the spiral, well, you are literally in a spot of light, or if you want, in a point of connection, for many different reasons. Well, first of all these spirals are not just fixed, let's say, instrument, but again are energies or intelligence that are literally creating, multiplying, extending frequencies every time we are walking into them. So that's the reason why we're always encouraged to experience, to walk, to meditate to the spirals, because more we use them, more in a way they are pulsating more and more intensely. This pulsation actually is making all of them connected together. That means that the spirals in Australia is connecting to the one in Damanhur, to the one in Colorado, to the one in Mexico, to the one in Iceland, to the one in South Africa, and etc. And each of these spirals are, let's say, practical instruments, practical connection with the energy lines that are present in that territory. Now, I'm sure that some of you are familiar with the concept of the energy lines of the planet. We call it synchronic lines. It's a very fascinating topic because it's pointing out which are the most energetic places in the world, or if you want, the meridians of the planet Earth, where these lines are crossing together. But in reality, in the nature, there are existing many more different energy lines. We call them minor lines, blue line, oval lines, telluric lines, ley lines. So again, very fascinating topic. But what I'm trying to tell you is that wherever we're living, so there are energies that are interacting with us, that are moving from the ground as from above to the sky. So when we create a stone spirals, we have to imagine that we are creating a portal. It's like a channel, because of course our eyes, again, they saw physically the flat spiral, correct? But in reality, the energy of the spiral, it's a double one. It's one that is spinning above and one that is spinning below. So you are creating literally like a tube, or as I said before, like a channel, a portal that will be capable to connect with the energy lines of that specific territory. And because the energy lines, obviously, they don't have any limitation by, let's say, the form, the method, the morphology of the territory. So in other hands, they can dive into the earth, they can go up into the sky. So this portal will be able to create that connection. So we are starting to interact with something that is much more than the energy of the spirals himself, but is to interact to a territory, to interact with the life forms of that territory, to creates connection all over the planet between all of the spirals and much, much more. That's the reason why all of them, they are creating, as in the most simple effect, an amplification, an extension of our senses. One more time, not only the external one, but also the inner ones, the one that we call inner senses. But at the same time, it's like to recalling a kind of union, a kind of harmony between all the different life forces, both physically expressed or, again, energetically expressed. So that is the function of all of them. The first pictures that Entello has been showing, well, that is something even more. And I cannot wait to invite all of you to come to Damanhur, maybe to one of our greatest appointment of the years, like the summer solstice. Well, we just celebrate the spring equinox, and you know that these are, again, the rhythm of the planet, the appointment, the fixed appointment that we have to be set to what is going on worldwide. And if you're going to come to Damanhur, well, in Damanhur, we also have kind of very interesting things that sometimes is possible to create only here, because we believe that where we create Damanhur, there is the connection of 4 synchronic lines. So creating really a bubble of energy, and the temple of humankind is built underground to actually plug perfectly to these energy lines. So here we have what we call the crystal spiral. It means that in each of these stones, and believe me, classical stone spirals is not less than 600 stone, more or less. So imagine in each of them a different crystal, a different quartz, a different stone, prepared to create a, how to say, a library, an enormous library that in this case is also connecting to another fascinating project that is about the memory, the history, the knowledge of all the tribe, of all the different people of the world. But Antello, I have to stop, otherwise I'm going again to so many topics that
But no, what's
I have to
important,
keep myself.
I want to underline what you just said is, of course, we invite all of you to come here to visit us, because here in presence, at least some of the spiders that we do have, you can come here and experience it, walking through them and experiencing the energetic, let's say, effect that these spiders can have on you with different function. And so thank you, Crotalo, to just say that. And I know Crotalo can help us to dive and deepen a lot of these topics. This is why we do organize other webinars like this one, or courses, programs, and schools where you can deepen this topic. And as always, here below the video, in the description, you can find all the links to connect with our academy, with us, with Damanhur, and so decide then if you are intrigued by this topic to dive and deep all these kind of topics. Crotalo, if I have your attention, I have a last question for you. I mean, if you want to close what you were saying about spiders, let's do it. Otherwise, I have a question about solar eclipse. But do you have something more to say about the spiders?
But I mean, there's always more, but I believe that the question about the eclipse is helping me to, again, go a little bit deeper about this idea of time.
Exactly.
Obviously, in Damanhur, we have a pretty different idea of what is time. I had the pleasure to record an entire season on Gaia TV regarding an alternative idea of the structures of time also as a territory in which we can probably also travel into that. Changing also the idea of the direction of time that we believe is from past to the future, or maybe not, or maybe also, or that we are in just one timeline, while in reality maybe we are let's say, moving from, one timeline to another one, okay? The one in which you're losing the car keys and the one in which you're finding then the car keys, just to play around and to make an example that is pretty famous. By the way, we believe that, as I said, time is much, much more complex than we can imagine. But what could be interesting is to imagine that there are also into this territory that we call time some fixed point. Without entering to all the reasons, and again, I'm going to invite you to other appointment to explain that. Let's say that there are in the structures of time or in the time territory some fixed point. For a fixed point, I'm talking about events that are never going to change, that they cannot be moved or changed. Obviously, if I believe that I can go back into time, changing something from the past to then make a change here in the presence from where I originated the time travel. So, which are these fixed events? Are the events that technically we call it are moving a lot of mass. Yes, the physical mass, like a earthquake, like a tsunami, like a volcanic eruption, also like an eclipse. So we have example of many time travelers that they use these different events, knowing about them in advance, to then impress the entire population or increase their power, or again, prepare to something that will happen right away. So, in other hands, what I'm trying to tell you is that the eclipse is one of these different appointments, an important one probably, a very significant one, also because you remember we already crossed in the last full moon a very strong moment that in a way is going to be increased now to the eclipse, and who knows for some what else. It looks to be one of these important appointments. Important appointment for what? It means that around that event, globally, so worldwide, there might be situation, opportunity, events, discovery, or whatever of this kind, that they can be like a strong influence for our way of living, for our way of thinking, for to how we approach life in the everyday. So, of course, very often people, they can imagine, oh, something terrible is going to happen. Oh, there's going to be
end of the world
of the asteroid into our hands. Oh, there's going to be the Third World War. Anyhow, so of course, the human tendency, unfortunately, is always to imagine that a change or a big event, it has to be negative. It has to be catastrophic. But as I was saying before, none of the events that are happening, both individually or globally, they are negative or positive. What I'm trying to tell you is that negative and positive is always about how I'm going to live / perceive that specific event. So how, with my free will, I'm going to dive in that event and transform it to what? What is positive? Well, in the spiritual philosophy, positive, it is not what is positive for you or for another person, but is what is creating more evolution. So, in the spiritual physics terms, what is creating more complexity. So, in other hands, I'm, spiritualizing a little bit more of the method. So I have more light and less mass. So that is the only element that can say positive. Otherwise, positive and negative, it's like when we are going to watch a football game and we are from two different teams. One is going to win. So parts of the people, they are going to be super happy because, with that event makes them happy. But the other half, they're going to be sad because their team, they lost. But it's exactly the same event. So how come that for someone is positive, someone is negative? It's again our perception. So what I'm inviting everyone is really to see whatever is going to happen. That is a research, a discovering, a new opportunity, or maybe another crisis. I will really invite everyone to be ready to use that opportunity to transform your life, to make your life better, or in any case, to use that opportunity to learn, to add, and to transform whatever in this moment of life you need. Because nothing happening that we're not ready. If it's happening, it's because we're ready. So if we are ready to dive, to enjoy the 29th of March, the eclipse, is because we are all ready for what this eclipse are going to bring in terms of appointments.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Crotalo, so much for sharing your wisdom and all this insight. I want to say that we as Damanhur, we have created an online space where you can share your, let's say, what you will notice from a concrete point of view, something unusual or remarkable occurrences that will happen during the day of the eclipse. And I will leave it here below on the description. Let's say the link to the online community where you can share. In Italy, it's going to be Saturday. I don't know if it's going to be a different time zone. All your again observation that has to be concrete, which are unusual or remarkable. You can just, if you want, write it there, because many Damanhurans and researchers from the whole world that want to participate to this kind of sharing, you can write it there. Because as Crotalo said, in that day, things may happen. And so if you notice something in your life, around you, in your city, you can write it there, because we, as a community of spiritual researchers, we are very interested to first create an environment where you can share it, but also to collect all this information to have an analysis about it. Because I would like to invite Crotalo again next week, if he's available, to discuss and have an analysis after the solar eclipse and after these events, to come back to this topic and deepen it again with different perspective, and also to answer to all of your questions, because as you may notice, this live stream is recorded, but next week we will try to be fully live. Let's see, so we can also answer to the question that you will ask us during the live stream. But today, if you have comments, questions, or sharing, just write it here in the live chat as you have done, and next week we will approach it. So, Crotalo, thank you so much. Thank you a lot to be here with us, and really for sharing your insights and your wisdom and your experience about these topics. Of course, thanks also to all the people that are joining this live stream. Do you want to underline any message, anything, Crotalo, that can help us, let's say, at the end of this conversation to close this live stream with a message, an emotion, a state of consciousness that you feel it's important to underline?
Well, the suggestion that I give it to everyone, and I remind it to myself, is to be open to the wonder and to be excited about the future, because the future is in our hands.
Again, thank you, Crotalo. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone, to all of you. And we will see again in the next live stream. Con voi.
Thank you, everybody. Con voi, and see you soon.
See you soon.